What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Video. So Pokemon Go officially announced that the Regi Trio is coming to Pokemon Go from June 1st until June 17th. And a lot of people have questions about these Pokemon. First things first, how are you going to take these Pokemon down? How many trainers is it going to take? We're going to be covering that in the counter guide section of this video. And then secondarily, what are you going to use these Pokemon for? Are they good at anything? Are they worth unlocking a secondary charge move, investing Stardust, and of course, so many more questions that will be answered on the deep dive series of this video as well. So anyways, I hope you do enjoy this episode. If it is helpful, if it does provide value, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Regi Trio all at once. They're going to be at random throughout their time period, so it's important to go ahead and talk about all of them. So first things first, we can go ahead and take a look at the CP ranges here, where you can notice that Regirock and Regice actually have the same set of CPs. That's because they have the same stats. And then you'll see that Registeel is actually a little bit lower, and it is, of course, a little bit different because of that. So you can go ahead and, of course, pay attention to those. But anyways, as far as some of the top Pokemon across all three of them are concerned, there's actually one or two that make it across all of them, which is pretty impressive. So first things first, we've got Conkeldurr across all three of them. And then secondly, we've got the Shadow Machamp here, which is able to make it across all three, which is definitely impressive for those Pokemon to be able to make it across all three. And then secondarily, we've got a couple of Pokemon that are able to make it across at least two of them. So that's going to be nice here. I'm kind of pointing out some of them for you so you can take a look. We've got Metagross, for example, that's able to make it across two, and then Lucario as well. And then, of course, a couple of the Fire-type Pokemon. So big time shout out to Pokemon like Blaziken here. And then, of course, we've got Shadow Charizard, which is actually pretty interesting. And then Moltres, as you can see, is making it across multiple instances here. So, of course, as far as my recommendations are concerned, we've really got kind of two things going on here. So first things first, what we could do is think about kind of a general team, and how we can decide that is based upon the typing. So we've got Regice here, and then we've got Regirock here, and then finally we've got Registeel here. Now, as far as all three of the Regi Trio is concerned, there's only going to be one typing that's actually super effective against all three of them, and that is the fighting type. So if you're interested in creating just a generic team where anytime you get some sort of raid invite for one of these Regis, you just want to go ahead and have a team ready, then it's definitely going to be the fighters that would be a great general team. And as far as the Pokemon that you want to have, you would probably want to have Conkeldurr. You would probably want to have a Pokemon like Lucario, for example. You'd want to have a Pokemon like Machamp. Shadow Machamp is actually amazing. And then a bit of a shout out to a Pokemon like Blaziken, but you've got to be a little bit careful with that one. But as far as my recommendation is concerned for general raids, you definitely want to go with a fighting team. If you just want to create one team, go in there and not have to worry about specifics. But of course, if you are interested in specifics, I think that the most common situation that's going to occur is when you're trying to low man, or you don't have a lot of people in the raid. Simply put, maybe you're not trying to low man, but that just ends up being what happens, where you only have like 4 trainers, for example, and you're really trying to get, as far as the performance is concerned, the best out of it as you possibly can. Then in that particular situation, what I'm going to recommend is to actually go down to the specific Regis and pull out some of the best. As you can see here, you've got a Pokemon like Reshiram that's taking over that #1 position, but it's not always going to be in that situation because of its dragon typing. Going up against Regice, for example, not going to be as top of a performer. But of course, those are going to be my recommendations. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy that counter guide, and it at least gives you kind of a starting point there. Of course, it is going to depend on what Pokemon you specifically have, but Shadow Machamp, shout out to you. I think that's going to be a fun one to use. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into the deep dive. We can go ahead and take a look at Registeel here, and I think that the Regi Trio is very interesting as far as their stats are concerned. So if we go ahead and check it out, we've got Registeel here that is ranked 12th as far as its defense is concerned, which is just incredible for this Pokemon. And then secondarily, we can see a pretty good stamina stat here, but unfortunately its attack stat is what holds it back from the raid side. Any of you who've used it for PvP are going to know that's actually a blessing in disguise. But anyways, we can see that its max CP is 2,799 with a level 51 buddy boost. So it doesn't even break 2,800 CP, which is just insane. And the fact that it doesn't reach even like 3,000 CP and is still able to get a stat that's ranked at 12th position is just insane. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on to Regice here. So as far as Regice is concerned, Regice and Regirock actually have the exact same set of stats, but of course we can go ahead and take a look at it. As far as the defense is concerned, it gets even crazier for these Pokemon. Go ahead and check this out. We've got Regice with a defense stat that is ranked at 6th in Pokemon Go, which is just insane. A defense stat of 309 is just absolutely crazy. And then basically, if you take a look at some other things, we can see that stamina is still doing pretty good. And then we see an upgrade to the attack stat. All in all, it's not the greatest attack stat by any means. We've got an attack stat of 179 that's ranked at 347th. An upgrade from a Pokemon like Registeel. But all in all, I don't know if it's the greatest, but we can go ahead and check out the CP here, where we can see that it actually does make it into the 3,500 range, which is pretty impressive for a Pokemon like Regice. And anyways, of course, you can go ahead and take a look at Regirock as well. You'll see that it has the exact same stats. And of course, we've got an overall ranking of 118th, heavily being pulled by that defense stat. So the defense stat is what's kind of dominant for all three of these Pokemon. And of course, you've got Regirock and Regice that have a predominantly better one. So unfortunately for these Pokemon, they don't have the stats to be able to compete from the raid side, but the good news is definitely on the PvP side. We can go ahead and check out the different rankings for the different leagues and see how these Regi trios end up doing. And spoiler alert, I'm a huge fan of Registeel and using that. I've actually been using it in the Ultra League, and I'm very excited about doing something with it, which we will be talking once we get to the Ultra League. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about these Pokemon. First things first, when we are in the Great League, we can see that Registeel and Regirock are very high-ranked Pokemon in the Great League. We can see that both of them crack into the top 25, which is just insane. And then, of course, when we take a little bit more of a detailed look at these Pokemon, we can see that Registeel is getting some key wins against some very common meta Pokemon in the Great League. So definitely excited about using a Registeel. And because I upgraded my Registeel up to the Ultra League, I'm actually interested in getting myself a Registeel for the Great League. So first things first, that's why I'm excited about doing those raids. But then, of course, key losses. We can see some very common Pokemon here. So you're definitely going to want to try to get your typing matchups as best as you possibly can, of course. But as far as the general use of this Pokemon is concerned, Registeel basically operates as an excellent closer, meaning that if you can get your Registeel kind of like as the last Pokemon and your opponent doesn't have any shields, Registeel is going to absolutely crush it. So as a closer, it gets a perfect score of a 100. And then for those of you interested in the move, we're actually going to be using Lock On, Focus Blast, and then Flash Cannon. So Lock On single-handedly is what makes it possible. It doesn't do hardly any damage, but it does actually end up developing that energy pretty quickly for you to get to a charge move. So of course, when you've got nuke-like moves of Focus Blast and Flash Cannon, it's still going to be great moves to use just in general, because you're going to be able to charge to them fairly quickly. When using other moves, it would take quite a bit. So of course, that's going to be Registeel. And like I said before, I'm excited about getting myself one for the Great League. And then of course, when we take a look at Regirock, now if I'm being honest with you, I was actually a little bit blown away as far as its ranking is concerned in the Great League. I just haven't really heard of a lot of people using Regirock. Maybe it's because it gets beat by Registeel, but I think to some extent it's got some play. First things first, they of course have different typing and then different movesets. So Regirock's going to use Lock On, Stone Edge, and then Focus Blast. So Focus Blast is going to remain the same, but Stone Edge is going to be picked up instead. So of course you can see some of those common Pokemon that we discussed earlier, but we can see that there are of course a couple of new ones like Galvantula here. So if you can get that typing kind of set up, it's going to look great. And then of course we're seeing some very similar weaknesses that we discussed before, and then maybe a new one like Toxicroak here. But regardless of that, if we go ahead and check out the performance, it's still going to function pretty similar to Registeel, but the difference is going to be that it is a little bit lower in performance as a closer, but all in all, it's still a great performer. And then of course its consistency is super high. By the way, as far as those IVs are concerned, we can see here that a 215-15 is what you would want for Regirock. And then pretty close to that for Registeel is going to be a 213-14. So of course, with these Pokemon going out and raiding, You've got the minimum floor IV set at 10, 10, 10. So you're definitely going to want to try to trade it with as low of a friendship level as possible. Are they going to be obtainable? I mean, I would just try to get the best one that you possibly can. And of course, maybe try to do some trades with some friends that will have lower floor IVs than just general raids at a 10, 10, 10. So hopefully that does help you as far as getting the best IVs that you possibly can. But anyways, let's go to move on to the Ultra League. So this is the conversation that I definitely wanted to have and wanted to go ahead and point out. So first things first, we go ahead and take a look at Registeel. We're going to see that Registeel is going to require XL candies. So in this particular case, you've got Registeel here, and because it requires XL candies, that's going to be a great reason to go out and raid a Registeel specifically. That way you can go ahead and power it up. Because as far as the ideal IVs are concerned, you can go ahead and see here that level 50, a 110-15 is the most ideal. Now, I actually have like a mid-90s% Registeel, but it still ends up being well below 2,500 at level 40. So what I'm trying to do is just to go ahead and save some Stardust, save some candy. I am going to try to raid it to get myself XL candies and simply get it up as close to 2,500 as I possibly can. That's definitely going to be my goal. But the reason why you should kind of focus on this and why it's so important is Registeel is literally ranked at #1 in the Ultra League when you have an XL Registeel. So Registeel is by far the top one that I am going to raid as far as raids are concerned. But secondarily, you can see that Regirock is no slouch. Regice is no slouch. But in this particular case, because they have different stats, they have higher IVs, it's actually going to work out a little bit different for them, where instead the most ideal is going to be at level 30. So you're not going to need XL candies for Regirock or Regi since they have the exact same set of stats. So Registeel is definitely going to be a lot of fun to do from the XL perspective to get out there and do some raids. And then of course in Master League Classic, we see a little bit of a drop in performance. And then finally Registeel ends up dropping down to the bottom. Its overall stats just can't keep up with other Pokemon in the Masters League. Like we talked about before, Registeel has worse stats than Regirock and Regice. So as the leagues go on, it eventually ends up being overperformed by those other Pokemon. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy this episode and this gets you excited about getting out there and raiding the Regi Trio. If you are interested in PvP, then it's definitely going to be something you want to get out there and do. And of course, as far as my recommendations are concerned, I would personally say focus on Registeel the most, especially from the fact that you can use it in the Great League, you can use it in the Ultra League, you can get yourself the XL candy that you need, and then simultaneously just get candy in general to unlock a secondary charge move. So I think Registeel is going to be the main focus, so cross your fingers and hope that you get a ton of them spawning in your local area. But anyways, I would love to know what you think about the Regi Trio in the comment section below. What is your favorite Regi Trio? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you next time. Anyways, if you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out the Patreon tier in the description below. I actually started a new Discord server. We're making upgrades to it where we talk about Pokemon Go, we coordinate for raids, we share friend codes, and so much more. So if you want to support the channel, check out that link. And of course, if you want to connect with other Pokemon Go trainers, make sure to do that. And I will see you next time.